There is an additional advisory which is sometimes getting is also in this given circumstances you can't reduce taxes, you should increase them. And there's a strong position of the government that we don't want to do this, even though that we have to have high expenditures. In terms of cutting costs, I've already mentioned in the previous panel, but the National Bank of Ukraine managed to cut their budget by 6 billion hryvnias. They managed to reduce enormous amount of employees. This is a presidential administration last year being reduced by 27%. At the same time, we do have an opposite on the cost structure of the government, where the 5% of GDP we're spending on the military. It's a necessity for us in the given circumstances. If you look at average other countries in Europe, it's 2%, which is requirements of NATO. So the other initiatives that we do with the court reform, putting a pressure to increase budget, at the same time, the recipe for any reform agenda is actually cutting. And the biggest piece in our current relationship of the cost to GDP is the debt on Naftogaz, which is an area where we're fixing it through increasing tariffs and fixing the problem of avoiding that of Naftogaz, even though the electronics trying to interfere in this process, because this is again the strategy that the government has. It's first time in the years to come where the government focuses on this and making sure that the problem that always been a hidden, you know, it's very few countries, actually I don't know many countries in the world who've been talking, do we look cost with GDP, cost to GDP with Naftogaz or without Naftogaz? And the government making very, very strategic focus. We're looking at everything. There will be no such thing as with or without. There will be general cost of the state. Sorry. This is important comment.
Rearranged lunch have 10 minutes. But Dmytro?
I just want to add a couple of things that the government doing. I didn't forget to mention. As an initiative to run conferences across the globe to present Ukrainian government, we recently had a big event in Washington, D.C., where the Prime Minister was the big group of reformers from the Ukrainian government, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Infrastructure, the head of the Fiscal Service, State Property Fund, me, and other people were there where we told the story about Ukraine in a very, very open discussion with investors in D.C. There will be on 23rd of October, there will be a similar event in Berlin, organized with in the dialogue with the German investors. There is discussion about similar event in Paris. So there is a strong focus to bring the Ukrainian government and talk about absolutely different stories. And we also need to remember that one of the Russian strategies is Ukraine as a failed state. So a lot of stories that sometimes are circulated and are generated just to stop the story that Ukraine wants to tell.
So if there are no questions, all that I'm left to do is to thank this excellent panel, Dmytro Shymkiv, Serhii Nikolaichuk, Timothy Ash, Vadim Khramov, Olexandr Valchyshen, and Dominique for their extremely valuable insights and views on the macro. So once again, gentlemen, thank you very much. And I invite you all now to lunch. So bon appetit and thank you.